Okay, hi, this is Athena StarSeed, and this is basically a series called Raising Reverence. We're looking at raising our vibrational frequency with being authentic, transparent, and in full integrity. And today I am interviewing Angelina PapaGeorge, who is a
Hi.
breatharian, and she is on her journey to breath work and breathing. And I guess I'd love to just have you tell us a little bit about yourself and what what you're up to.
Okay. Um, I would say that a good way of looking at it now, where I am with like breath work and where I can see myself headed, everything that led up to this, I've always been a health conscious person. And a lot of paths that I went down that at the time maybe seemed like a dead end was really just leading here. So I'm just grateful for the whole journey that brought me to where I am here. So let's see. I started off vegetarian and then went vegan and then raw vegan, and all of it, they all like had their phase. They're not the end goal. It's just one step that leads to the next. And does that make sense?
Yes, I think
None of them were the whole answer, if that's what I mean. So it's just, I guess a good way of explaining it is my awareness became more and more refined and more focused, going from someone who exercised a lot to then focusing on diet and then focusing on becoming vegetarian and then vegan and then raw vegan and then realizing that it's nothing outside of myself and then getting to breath work. So it's just becoming more and more micro, like more and more focused.
so. I consider it kind of like a flower constantly evolving and expanding. And so as the flower pokes its little head out of the dirt and then it starts to unfold as it's tuning into the energy of the sun, what we're really looking at is an aspect of ourself and our larger awareness and expansion. And
Right.
I have been doing the fitness thing since the late 80s as a personal trainer and as somebody who wanted to make a difference with my own body, coming from being in a wheelchair and having to learn how to walk, then teaching aerobics, then personal training. Yeah, and then doing just, a lot of athletic events to try to test my own physical resolve. And then coming along breatharianism probably about 15 years ago, reading books on Jasmine and looking at a lot of her videos. I was very, very interested in what she had to say, and I was doing her meditations. In 2009, I went to Bali and I fasted in the jungle for 9 days, and I was doing her meditation. I was just drinking coffee and coconut water at that time. And I had some pretty incredible revelations, and I know that I wanted to go deeper. So the reason why I'm interviewing you is because I feel that breatharianism is a consciousness. It's not a destination. It's a place
Absolutely.
Energetically where you're constantly moving your awareness forward and not eating.
It's an allowing. It's an allowing. It's allowing the energy that's already there, because we're all breatharian. I think I said that to you previously, we're all breatharian, whether we're conscious of it or not. We were born with an inhale and we'll die with an exhale. So everything in between is just, it's one big breath, basically, with a lot of breaths in between as well. But
I like that. Is there a light that you can turn on in your room so we can actually see you a little bit better?
Let's see.
Do you have an overhead light? I like the way you said it's all a constant. Oh yeah, that's actually really good. It's all
okay.
I
don't like unnatural light, so I like to use the sunlight, and it's just cloudy here today, but It's fine.
So back to the fact that we're all breathing and we come in with the first breath and we leave with the last breath. You had mentioned that before, and all the breaths in between. I wanted to really talk about consciousness, and I wanted to talk about consciousness in connection with accountability, because you and I both had a similar experience with a breatharian teacher, and this is about taking 100% responsibility. One, for myself, how I created this situation. And then also, two, to be accountable, to realize that things are coming up to be cleared, healed, and revealed.
Oh, absolutely.
And so I know that you had a situation because you didn't know him very well. And the things that were similar was that you didn't know him, you met him and you set up an event, something sexually inappropriate happened, you called him on it, and there was very little accountability. And so I don't want to be in a blame session. I want to be in an appropriate, truthful authenticity with being accountable. And what does that mean? And what actually happened when you confronted him with the information?
So along the lines of accountability, I think the first thing that I would say is, when the situation happened, one of the things that I realized was I had to, in order for me to move on and for me to heal, I needed to be accountable for my emotions. Right. Like anything that I felt from that situation was not anybody's problem or a responsibility but my own. I don't even want to say problem. And so I just, like you said, you know, why did I create this situation?
Yeah.
And the way that I look at it now is, I mean, it was an opportunity for me. I mean, it was a deliverance of an opportunity to go deeper into myself and live a life where I don't feel threatened by life. You know, if I can let something like that not threaten my life and you know, at least, and more than that, help me expand and be an even more expansive, like, centered person. And that's what I wanted. That's what I wanted it to do after it happened. Because otherwise I could have just found it extremely traumatic, which it was initially. So I had created the contrast by reacting the way that I did, which was, you know, being in shock and being, you know, feeling confused, betrayed, shocked, scared, all of that. I mean, I created that contrast within myself with my first response.
Right.
And then I was like, well, I don't want to stay feeling this way and like live a life with these emotions and these like trauma responses. So what do I have to do? What do I do? And it was like, because I had that contrast, it was already like laying the foundation for what was going to be built, you know? So, but for him, the only thing that I can actually really say is what I had to make myself choose to, or not make myself, but in order for me to live like have a peaceful experience after that and be content in life, there was just certain things that I had to do. It's just like a formula, you know, like what do I have to do, or what do I need to allow to happen in order for me to get back to this homeostasis of like peace, contentment, bliss, joy, that type of thing after this situation. And so part of that was having compassion for him, like not blaming him, you know, because
let's go for the people that don't know anything.
The larger part of all of us
is about what you're saying. I just wanted to contextualize what's happening, what you're saying, because people are listening maybe for the first time, they don't know. You invited him into New York to town, you set up a meetup for him, you checked him into his room, you were in the bathroom, and then something happened. So if you could just briefly within 2 minutes describe that, and then we can go into how you're feeling now, because we're obviously you know, this was July, so we're now in February.
Right.
So we're almost, you know, half a year
Yeah.
more later.
Right. So, what had happened was, let's see. So I started watching his videos. I reached out to him to like have a phone call, just because I wanted to like surround myself with that energy in some type of way. And so then he came back, I think, from India, and he was traveling the US and like on a bike. And so I messaged him and asked if he would come to New York. And he said he would, and if I would help like put things together, like find a place to do it, or you know, that type of thing. And so I'm more than eager to help with that. And so I like found a park to do it at, and you know, we had conversed back and forth on, you know, that day that was coming up. And so then the day came and he rode his bike into New York and he got lost. And so I went and picked him up, brought him to his hotel room because that's where he wanted to check into his hotel. And the meetup was going to be in like 2 hours. And so, and in my mind, I felt like I was going to be surrounding myself with this person that was like of pure energy. Like, you know, when I say pure energy, just purity, I mean, he claims to be breatharian and he claims celibacy. So in my mind, I'm like, this is like a grandfather figure, you know, like this is like a mentor.
How old are you?
And so I didn't, 23. I'm going to be 24 this month. Mm-hmm. So I didn't think anything of it when like helping him bring a bag up to his room. I did have the thought in my mind like, wow, I'm doing something that in normal circumstances I wouldn't feel comfortable doing. But because of how I assumed he was by how he labels himself, I was like, it's interesting that I'm choosing to be comfortable in a situation that I normally wouldn't, going up to a hotel room with a man. And so, but I went up to the room with him and we were just talking about like breatharianism and stuff like that and his travels and whatnot. And I went in his bathroom and he came up behind me and groped me. He put his arms around my waist and then started moaning and then continued to move his hands up to my breasts. And there was no consent for that. And no matter what he ever used to justify why he did what he did, which, you know, could have been because I wore shorts and a tank top, could have been because I gave him a hug, because I was friendly, because I was smiling, because I went up to his room, because saying that I wanted to get out of my relationship, I don't, no matter what the justification is, there's no justification for touching somebody without consent.
I agree.
I could have been sitting there naked. If I didn't consent to being touched, then that means I didn't want to be touched. There was no communication about it. I said that I had a boyfriend. And so there was just like, it was a non-consensual situation basically. And so when that happened, I was in shock. I had no clue what had happened. I was really confused because I was in a first-hand situation where somebody claimed to be something and acted completely different. And so I was just like, my body was physically even traumatized. Like I was shaking, my voice was shaking in the room. And I don't know why I didn't leave the room, but I decided that I wanted to confront him there and ask him why he did that. And so like in my video that I put out, it was really a reflection of like low self-esteem, because I was like, what did I do? You know, like me thinking, well, this person is celibate and like this happened. So like, why, like, what did I do to make this happen? Like, what did I say? Did I put like one too many smiley faces in our conversation? Or like, you know, I was just, I blamed it on myself because I was like trying to grasp like something, like what can I do to like kind of patch this up in my head? This is like very uneven right now. Like what reasons can I give? And so I just blamed myself. And so I asked him, like, well, what did I do? Like, what did I do something? Did I say something? Was it the clothes I was wearing? Like, I don't know. And now looking back, of course, it was none of that. There's no justification for that when you claim celibacy. But in the room, he said, no, my fault. I had a long bike ride, whatever that means. And just no remorse, absolutely no remorse about it. I mean, he slapped his hand and called himself a bad boy. So like, yeah.
Okay,
But
so
then he admitted it in a phone call, but then later after that denied it. So
okay, so he did admit it. You're saying that he did admit that he did that. All right, so full transparency, you know, the situation that I was in, I had watched him on the internet for a year. I also remember him saying he was celibate. I felt pretty safe too. I'm a single mother. I felt like, you know, this guy's up and up. I agreed to do retreats with him. I talked to him from July until November. We did 11 YouTube interviews on Zoom, and I posted them, and they were fantastic. I keep them up because they're really good. We go back and forth. It has really great data. He's very charismatic. He's very intelligent. He knows exactly what he's doing. It's not like he's like, oh, I made a mistake. No, he knows what to say and when to say it. I felt very confident that he would be a good teacher and a good partner. So I went ahead and moved forward with planning our first retreat in November 11/11. And I had already sold 2 clients by the end of like August, early September. And then one of the clients that had registered, I'm not going to mention her name, but she called me and said, hey, I found a video, and it was yours, on the internet about him, Elitom. You might want to look at this before you continue. And I was like, okay. So I watched it, and then she sent me another one. I just found another one. And I think that was a girl named Miriam. And so then I watched that one. And then I watched a third girl, a third person who made a video of both of you and Miriam. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to call him, and I'm just going to ask him about this information, because he should have, in my opinion, disclosed that information to me before I started, you know, promoting everything. Like, hey, this is out here. I just want you to know, in case you see this, that this might come up. Here's my side. He never did that. So that was the first betrayal for me, is he didn't have full disclosure in the relationship that was out there. So I called him and I said, hey, this is out there. What do you have to say about it? He gave me his side, which was, that was not true, that you overreacted, that you had a problem with your boyfriend, you wanted to be with him, and so those were the indicators, and that he just took the whole responsibility just to protect you. So I was like, all right, if that's true, then you need to make an apology video, because you obviously hurt this woman and you hurt the other woman, and they're both freaked out about it, and I don't want to hurt women. So if you want to do business with me, here are my conditions. Number 1, you have to apologize and make a video. Number 2, you need to pay for therapy for these women, because that's being accountable. Because even if you say, I'm sorry, this person went through trauma, and they're like, you know, you're 23. I mean, do you know what I'm saying? You have a 23-year-old body, a 23-year-old mind. You have a 51-year-old not asking and assaulting you sexually, and that's not okay. And so, like, it's just not okay.
One of the reasons why I, like, when that happened that day and he did what he did, if I didn't stop him where he was, the reason why I can assume that he wanted to go further was because when I asked him, I thought you were, or when I said I thought you were celibate, he said, well, I am. If you would wanted me to spill the seed, I wouldn't have done that, implying that, you know, like a sexual intercourse. And so,
Okay.
you know, so obviously that's where that was headed. It wasn't, you know, that it wasn't just going to stop there if I didn't put a stop to it myself. Which, I mean, it just implies like you claim celibacy, but then like you're okay with having sex if you don't nut. Like, what's going on here? Which is, to me, it just raises like maybe like the easiest way to interpret it is like maybe he just has his own definition of celibacy and even of celibacy, because I mean that's definitely not the dictionary definition of what celibacy is. So
I just want to say I'm sorry that I'm sorry that I didn't believe you, and I'm sorry that I too misjudged the situation. I wanted to have my own direct experience with him. I wanted to believe who he said he was. I wanted to believe in his celibacy because I wanted to reach higher states of breatharianism for myself. And I put my power, this is my responsibility, I put my power outside of myself onto a teacher thinking that he had something that I needed to further my breatharian consciousness. And I realized that that was absolutely erroneous because when he came into town, okay, so the first thing, he wasn't transparent. He didn't tell me that he had those videos out with these other women that were very, you know, incriminating, really, because I'm partnering with you and you should let me know that that's out there. So the second thing was, when he came, he had said on the phone, I will make the video. I will apologize to these women and I will take care of that. So when he came, I assumed that was done. So when he arrived in November, I said, hey, did you ever make the video? And he said, oh, no, I didn't. And I said, well, we can't do business unless you make that video. That was your word. You have to be accountable to your word and to these women that you hurt. He goes, okay, I'll do it. And I said, well, you have to do it today. You have to do it now. Like, this is what we have right here. Is right now. We're moving forward. And I talked to 2 women who paid, and I told them, if you apologize and you told everybody what happened, that you would make a video. So he went in the backyard and was going to make a video. And I had agreed if the women saw it and didn't like it, they could get their money back. And I was fully responsible for giving him that money back. So he went out, made the video. I looked at it. It was very blaming. It was very angry. And it was very self-righteous, in my opinion. And I was like, that's not kind of the idea. Like, where's your accountability? You have to like take 100% responsibility, and then you need to do something to compensate for their trauma. So you need to offer something. You need to pay for their therapy. And so he agreed with what I had said, and he made a second video. And that's the video that's on YouTube today. And so I was like, okay, it looked like he had gotten the message clearly. And I sent it to the 2 women. They felt okay with it. I moved forward with the retreat. I said, I'm not going to judge this man. I'm not going to, throw stones. I'm going to let myself have an experience. He did not hit on me in the first retreat. He was completely fine. The second retreat, he started calling me pet names, which I didn't really appreciate, because I don't want to be called a kitten or baby or whatever. I'm not a kitten. My name is Athena, and I'm a professional, and I've been teaching retreats since the 90s. So I want to be treated as an equal and a co-creator, not, a pet. So kitten wasn't working for me. And then by the third retreat, he was, getting very friendly physically with me. And towards the end of it, he, pushed me down on the bed with his arm and laid his body on top of mine. And that was not invited. He did not ask permission. I froze. because I don't know, I just froze. I didn't say anything. I just got up abruptly. I left the room. I was like, okay, we have a couple more days of this retreat. I'm going to wait until this is over, and then I'm going to address this, but I need to have support. So I called a friend of mine who is a spiritual healer, and she does trauma work. And her name is Leti Stiles.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to get some coaching around this. Do you see what I'm saying? But what I did do is I did ask him the day the retreat ended. The retreat ended at noon. By 1 o'clock, I texted him and I said, hey, you need to get all of your stuff out of my house. We're not doing business anymore. I don't want to work with you. And that was my message to him. And then immediately I booked a therapy session. I've already talked to 2 other spiritual counselors. This weekend, I did 3 days worth of trauma release work with several different healers. And I had a very profound experience of how I got myself into the situation. I missed all the red flags. I wasn't accountable to my own boundaries. I set a boundary and he would break it, and then I would allow that. So I'm accountable to watching him not fulfill his agreements and not follow through with the video and not really have any remorse. And so, you know, I have to say, I'm sorry to you. I'm sorry that I judged you and I thought that that wasn't accurate. I'm sorry that I judged Miriam. It did happen to me. Now I'm being judged. His big fans, and I was a big fan too. We don't want to believe it. I don't blame you. Who wants to believe that? They want to believe he's this great guy and he tells the truth. Does he eat or not? I never saw him eat. I never saw him drink. Okay. However, no matter if you're a breatharian or not, you shouldn't be forcing yourself on women. You didn't have to push me down to the bed and lay on top of my body. You don't have to grope women without their consent, especially women that are like, you know, 23 years old when you're 50. That's just, I mean, as a mother, I'm a mother, that would not fly with me. And I think anybody watching this video, if they really let go of what they want from Elitom and they just look at him as a human, he's a human being. It's not okay.
Exactly.
It's not okay.
Exactly.
So where do we go from here? So from that experience and also doing all the work, I want to just speak to anybody that this has happened to women in general. The traumas reoccur. They usually happen earlier in childhood. They end up looping because we don't fully feel the feelings in the present when they originally happened at the roots of the tree, okay? And then we might experience the trauma again and again and again until we have a different reaction and we actually confront, speak our truth, and then take action to self-nurture and heal ourselves. So it's not about Elitom doing anything now. I don't want to put him where it's his responsibility to heal me. I'm working on myself. I'm taking it upon myself to make the investment in myself, to look at why I didn't immediately stop the retreat, why I didn't say in front of everybody, this just happened to me because of shame or guilt or whatever was going on in my mind. I have to be accountable to that and know that when those red flags come up, I will not in the future, thank you, Elitom, put myself in that situation again. And if it does happen, I will speak my truth no matter where I'm at.
That's so beautiful. Yeah, I mean, you can't even ask for anything more, like, to get out of that situation. For yourself, you know? Just creating, everything that you just said. That's exactly what it is. So
I chose, I'm a reader, and I chose a tarot card. So the way I like to deal with some of this stuff is to kind of look at it metaphysically and spiritually, right? So I'm 100% responsible for creating the Elitom in my life. I manifested him to come out to LA. I manifested the 3 retreats. I learned a lot about fasting and the brain and the metabolism and consciousness on breatharianism in general as a science. So I did feel like I expanded. Now, when you expand, there's always duality. There's always shadow work to do. I accept that he's a human being. He makes mistakes. You're a beautiful, attractive woman. He still has egoic, animalistic, natural desires as a man, which there's nothing wrong with that. However, when we are not authentically our true self to say, I still struggle with lust, or I actually desire being in a partnership, or I would really like to date you, you know,
Right.
Angelina or Athena, like say that, then there's an invitation for us to use our free will to say yes, please, or no, thank you. So anyway,
Right.
I chose this card, and this is, I don't know if you can see it right now. It's like a tiger. So I'm going to read it, and I think it actually fits the situation. So here it says, second chances bring success. The diamond tiger of the black moon. It says, your soul is on the diamond path of spiritual growth. You may feel pressure by life at times, but at a higher level, those challenges are going to help you realize your true inner strength and your true character. You have the potential, the will, the strength, and the physical power that you need for success. No matter what has happened in the past, you are now developing a spirit of passion, vitality, and energy to fight like the tiger defending her cubs. Believe in yourself. There is a great dignity and strength in telling the truth and being in your heart. It also says here, do not judge anything or anyone. So I want to remove judgment from Elitom. Elitom, we're not judging you. You're a human. You have desires. Everything is happening for a reason. And Angelina and I are meeting and we're healing. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I went really deep this weekend and I processed a lot of tears and a lot of emotion, and I healed a lot of stuff because of Elitom. So thank you for that. That was really powerful. So the rest of the card says, do not judge anything or anyone, including yourself and what you believe is possible inside of your heart. The past does not reflect your present. Reclaim and redirect your energy according to what matters to you the most. You are stronger than you may even realize. The return of strength after a challenge gives you a second chance for success and a brilliant light of intuition and insight that will end a long-lasting cycle and a repeated struggle. And this is important because as women, like, I mean, obviously with the Me Too movement, women are talking about this now because it was inappropriate for us to really say something because we could lose a job, we could lose financial opportunities, we could be ostracized, we could be called derogatory names, we could be not believed. To have us be able to speak our truth and then look at how many times this has gotten let go of. Do you see what I'm saying? I have been sexually harassed in the past. I never said anything. You know what I'm saying? I never reported it. I just felt uncomfortable and I just wanted to be away from the person. Do you see what I'm saying?
Right.
But I never spoke my truth. And you know, this year at 50, I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to keep repeating that loop. I want the loop to stop right now. This was not invited. It was not okay with me. And I'm not the only one it happened to. So what I'm saying is, regardless, let's pretend it's not Elitom. No man or woman has any right to touch, fondle, or violate sexually another being without their permission. And that's where we are. And this is the card of being able to stand up and protect yourself. And the black moon is about looking at the shadow aspects where we have guilt and shame that might hold our voices back, that we don't speak out because we don't want to make a ripple in the water. And what's interesting about this situation is in the first retreat, I had a woman do something sexually inappropriate to me. And I had asked Elitom to not have this woman come back to my house, ever. I don't want her in my home because she crossed a boundary. I'm not sure what her sexual orientation is, if she's bisexual or whatever, but it wasn't okay with me. And he kept allowing her to come in. I would walk into my living room and there she would be in front of a group of people. And I would just be like, you're telling me that you're going to protect me and you're going to not let the people in that are not, you know, safe for my level of comfort, and then you constantly violate that. So for him to have me have to repeat myself again and again, I should have ended it there, but I didn't. I didn't come out with my tiger. I didn't address the shadow. I let him continue to say things and then not follow through. And then by the time he violated me, I had it. I was like, you have an hour to get your stuff and go out. You know, and people,
I mean, it's a perfect opportunity really to bring up so many like unresolved emotional traumas within ourselves. You know, like for you, me, Miriam, to bring up these traumas within ourselves. I mean, that's what this situation did. You know, it brought up like lack of boundaries, self-confidence, self-worth, self-esteem, like all of that. And so it just made all of that, I'm sure it made it present for all of us, what we needed to heal within ourselves. Or, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so thank you for saying that, because I read something by Carl Jung, and it said, what we don't deal with on the inner emotionally, we will manifest on the outer physically.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Well, so like I know for me, when I was young in my formative years, like when I was younger than 7, I had a sexual or multiple sexual assault experiences with a family member. And in that time, I mean, at that age, you don't really know right from wrong. And you don't, like, I know for me, I didn't understand the traumas or, yeah, traumas that just became part of my personality. I just didn't understand that they were being developed because of that situation. And so, I mean, it was things like people pleasing. It was my first encounter with a narcissist. And so, I mean, from when that happened up until now, I was like living these cycles of like people pleasing, like questioning myself, not speaking up, like not saying the truth, or like, well, you know, this might be the truth, but it's like a little bit harsh, or like it's a touchy subject, so it's not worth talking about, and like that type of thing. And so having a situation like this happen again when I'm 23 brings up all of that and gives me an opportunity to be like, no, I'm going to allow this to raise my self-esteem, become more self-actualized, speak the truth, like speak the truth no matter what the varying opinions are, because it's like a very heated topic. And, you know, men are going to say one thing, women are going to say another thing. There's going to be all types of judgments. And so just having it be an opportunity for me to heal all of that from childhood is honestly just amazing. Not to say that what he did was amazing. It was shitty, but what I got to heal was pretty amazing.
I agree with you. And, you know, going really deep this weekend and taking 100% responsibility for my own feelings. I had to feel my own feelings. He's not making me feel low self-esteem. I had to go in and say, how come I didn't say anything? How come I didn't say anything before? How come I didn't say, no, this is unacceptable. You broke the rule. You have to leave. You see? And when I had brought other things up to him in the past about broken agreements and lying or misappropriate behavior, he basically discredited me and called me a barking chihuahua. And I was like, you know what? I don't like people breaking into my house. I don't want people that are sexually assaulting me to come back to my home. I don't want people that are abusing my kindness and my goodness to just go swept under the carpet. And then because I'm asking you to be a partner, and if you're in my home when I'm not there, you have to respect my boundaries because I'm not in my home. And so what I learned in this weekend retreat that I went to was like, it's your home. What are you doing letting somebody in your home when you're not there? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's
I mean,
your responsibility.
it's always like, I mean, because people are going to take what they're given. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
Or even
it's
when they're
not,
not given, they take more sometimes even when they're not given, they'll just take.
they take what we allow. They take what we allow. I mean, it's kind of like, and I've always, and this is where actual self-mastery comes into play, and not just wanting people to act certain ways around you just to make you comfortable, because
Okay.
there's no way that you're going to be able to get everyone around you to be able to respect, like, to be able to be like, well, you need to respect my boundaries. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. I have to respect my boundaries and keep them as they should be. That's my responsibility. That's not somebody else's. And so it's, with energy comes responsibility. And so it's just like accepting that it is our responsibility to uphold our boundaries, not anyone else's. It's like treat others the way you want to be treated. Like, yeah, because there's no self and other. Like, how you're treating another is actually just how you're treating yourself. So it's like,
And that was my really big takeaway that I really appreciate, that when you realize by observing someone's behavior that it doesn't align with who you are, you lose value if you continue the relationship. And that's what I saw happening to myself. I allowed myself to devalue myself to put up with that type of behavior, and I'm 100% responsible. And after such a loving weekend doing all this trauma work, I feel like, yeah, I can see the signs now, and that's not going to happen again to me. You see what I'm saying? I'm going to speak up the very first time, and I'm not going to worry about somebody criticizing me, condemning, or complaining. I'm just going to actually say, you know what? I'm not going to react to this. I'd appreciate if you leave. And I should have said that to the woman who violated me when she was at the retreat. And I should have said that to Elitom the very first time he started stepping out of integrity. And those are my big gifts.
mm-hmm.
And so that's what I want to leave. I mean, that's the flavor of this video, is to be totally transparent with yourself, who you are, what your integrity is, where your boundaries lie, and then hold yourself accountable for those boundaries and let the chips fall where they may. Maybe people watch this and they might not believe anything we're saying. That's okay.
Mm-hmm.
I still feel that the growth and the experience and the expression, it might motivate one person to break down their beliefs and see if they're in harmony and alignment with their own boundaries. And when they get broken, what are the practical application to those boundaries, and what actions will, male or female, what will they take when that happens? Because that's accountability. And that is also a higher level of conscious awareness. And that brings us right back to breatharian consciousness. Like you said, everybody's breathing. The slower we breathe, the slower the mind is, the more options we have to take care of ourselves, because we're not in fight or flight. I was in fight or flight when it happened to me. I shut down because I went back to an earlier time period and I didn't know what to do. And I needed to wait until he was out of my space to get help. So I called somebody to come over. I had a man with me when I asked him to leave. And then I immediately called a therapist that was a healer, and she's been doing sessions with me through this. And as I said, I just did 3 days worth of trauma work with a group. I've also saw another healer. So I've 3 healers deep, and it's been, I think, 3 weeks. And I feel I could take it out of me. I could witness it. I could look at it. Then I could love it.
That's amazing.
I could forgive it, and I can let it go. So I don't want women to hold on to their trauma. This isn't about complaining and dragging a dead body of the past with us into this present. It's about self-healing. All healing is self-healing. All consciousness is self-realization.
And so this is something that I was thinking about this morning, which is, taking yourself out of the victim role And so, I mean, this situation is a good example of it, but, you know, you can do that in so many, I mean, we take on a victim role in so many other ways in life. And so the more that, you know, with breath work for me, it allows me to go down to like this micro level where I can, you know, if I can, how I breathe is how I live. And so how I breathe affects my thoughts, my vibration, how I view life, the people that I attract, the people that, because, and the reason why is because the more that I realize, the more that I can self-master myself. Like, self-mastery to me is removing yourself from the victim role and not being threatened by life. Because, I mean, anything outside of you is, it's just so variable. It can vary so much. And so for, like, to want anything outside of you to make you comfortable, or anything outside, to try and control anything outside of you, it's just so like back and forth, like, just no, there's no stability there. And so to create the stability within ourselves, and to know that I can control my emotions, I can control how I enjoy life and how I view life within myself without anything outside it like affecting me, unless, and if it does, then it's just an opportunity for me to grow more. Because like, I'll look at things and be like, why is this affecting me right now? Or why am I letting this affect me right now? And how can I take my power back, or realize the power that's already there? Like, what limiting belief do I have that's making me think that this has control over me? And so, I mean, the situation that happened to us with Elitom is a perfect example of that. But I mean, it can be anything in life. And so, yeah, like, the more that you can self-master your emotions and stuff like that, and realize the formlessness within us that is absolutely infinite and creates, you know, duality. I mean, it's beyond duality, but the more that we can realize that we're all part of that infinity, then it just allows you to remove like limitations, and just the abundance is like already there. And so there's no, it's just removing the victim mindset completely, just squashes it, which is like amazing.
Yeah, I agree with everything that you just said. And I found in my journey this weekend that love encompasses everything, lies and the truth, shame and guilt, you know, fear and courage. Love includes that. And so for me, when I took out the wound and I looked at it as a witness, and then I realized this was bringing up an opportunity for me to heal so many things, I was grateful for it. And then the healer that I was working with actually said, now put it back into your heart, wrap steel golden bands around it, breathe into it, and love it, and transmute it, and send it up through the crown up to God. And so I just breathed Elitom in the situation and what happened to me, and I breathed it in, and I cried, and I healed it, and I sent it up through the crown, and I felt spacious. I felt lighter. I felt more. I felt more. I felt more of my authentic self, and that had more room to actually love him unconditionally, to be able to love life and not judge life was a big takeaway for me, because it gave me a part of myself back.
Right, absolutely. And so something that I want to say, I mean, just because I can feel a bit of discomfort within myself, that is like, I think it's great that we're talking about healing ourselves in this, but I know for me, like, that by no means, like, just because I can heal from this and it's a choice that I do, absolutely doesn't mean that what he did was right. And so for any women watching this, or any man watching this that experienced any trauma or sexual trauma from anyone, you know, forgiveness doesn't mean that it's okay. Forgiveness is for ourselves and to grow and whatnot, but that doesn't justify or make okay the actions of the person that did that.
I agree with you.
You
Absolutely. And I don't want Miriam or anybody else to think that I'm saying it's okay for a man to do what he did to me or you or Miriam.
Right, right.
I want to say that the universe, I know you reported him, you know, and I don't know what Miriam did. The point is that whether he ever admits it or ever accepts it, or if anybody ever even believes what we're saying, it doesn't really, it's not going to affect my healing. And I know
Oh,
that the universe is intelligent. And at some point of his conscious evolution, we all are a part of each other and we do feel each other. And there will be an awakening around the collective unconscious of taking without asking. And it, in a sexual manner, it really is a distortion of love. It's all a distortion of love because people want to love and be loved. And that's the core wound, is somebody that doesn't feel that they can be loved, so they take it without asking for it. And that's a part of the illusion that also needs to be, you know, brought to conscious awareness.
right, right. So yeah, definitely. So two things. One would be, I mean, I would assume I really have no clue, because in my mind it was just really confusing. You know, someone that would say they were celibate but then act in a different way. It just didn't really make sense to me, and so the only thing that I can assume is that it's just repressing sexuality, and so it's just, I mean, I don't know. That definitely needs to be touched on, just to represent yourself.
You just cut out. What did, say that again? You just cut out.
To represent yourself one way and then to act differently. There's just like some discord in that. There's some sort of like forced energy or repressed energy there for that to happen in the first place.
I agree with you, and I feel that a lot of spiritual leaders are being brought forward that are having sexual misconduct. He's not the only one. There are a lot of priests, you know, that have been brought up on charges for pedophilia. There are a lot of gurus in India that are sleeping with their students. You know, because Elitom's not certified and not trained in anything, you see what I'm saying? He didn't go through any ethics or moral training. And as a personal trainer or as a healer, you do have to look at moral conduct. And when you're your own one-man show, there's no accountability. There's no authority that you have to check in with when you misbehave. So you just keep leaving town. And if it replicates and it keeps happening, at some point that will catch up with you.
Right. Right. So definitely. I know that for like when the situation happened for me, in my mind, just because like I said, I mean, it kind of flipped my mind like upside down. You know, it was just really confusing and like disorienting. And so, like I said, just to, you know, bring like a homeostasis back in my mind, I was like, okay, like how do I make this situation okay? Like, and part of that is accepting the situation. But like, I feel the reason why I'm saying this is I feel like a lot of women, like we were just saying, forgiveness and healing and all of that doesn't mean that it's okay, but it can feel like that, you know, inside of us, being like, well, you know, it's okay that it happened, or it's okay that they did this. And so there's like kind of some discomfort in maybe progressing down, like, or continuing to heal with something like that, just because there's a discomfort of like, well, I don't want to make it seem like this is okay. And so I know that for me, I had to distinguish that, like, no, I can heal from all of this and still distinguish that from the fact that what happened wasn't okay.
Well, that brings me to another point, because I wanted to look at with you, when someone doesn't have remorse, like it's not okay. It's not okay. And
Right.
and for him to deny what happened with Miriam and to deny what happened with me, I think you caught him on vocal recordings on a phone conversation with your boyfriend. So there's proof there, but nobody else has proof. So, but I wanted to say that to make it clear so that this doesn't happen to more women, you want to kind of look out for narcissistic tendencies, because inside of that, there's no remorse. They don't feel like they did anything wrong. And maybe, you know, like love includes truth and lies. In his mind, he might not think he did anything wrong laying on top of you. He might deny that he did that. Okay, well, there is something in that. It says, basically here, a narcissism who is somebody who expects constant admiration, who thinks they're better than everybody else, and is constantly without remorse. So there are, you know, like, I don't know, signs of symptoms of personality disorders. And one of them is a grandiose sense of self-importance. I'm the only breatharian. There's no other breatharians, or I would know them. You know what I'm saying? Lives in a delusional world that only supports their own grandiose opinion of themselves. I'm celibate. I'm God. You know, I mean, needs constant praise and admiration, a sense of entitlement, exploits others without guilt or shame. And that's where I felt like I got a little entangled with that energy. No sense of remorse, doesn't have any boundaries. So to not have remorse, that's what we're thinking. I mean, like, the purpose of this video is to not have it to happen to other people, okay? So what would be great is just to inform women that want to go down that Elitom El-amin path, as, you know, if they want to take a retreat or whatever, be mindful, get as much research as possible, look for the signs, see if, you know, if you feel safe with somebody that has a track record of that, or if you don't, and make your own decision. Because I'm not here to choose your reality. I'm here to speak my own reality and say that if I can be a lighthouse to someone and share an experience, that might save somebody some extra trauma.
And also on top of that, like, to also, which is basically touching back on what I said, like, for what happened with me, you know, if you do miss the signs, you know, if you're completely blind to the signs, or it just happens out of nowhere, that you can still heal from it, move on from it, you know, and not blame yourself or maintain, just not blaming yourself. Like, why didn't I pick up on this? Or why did I choose to dress this way? Or why did I speak this way? Or any number of things, you know, because so many women are like, well, how did I not pick up on the signs? And, you know, you might not pick up on the signs, and like, that's okay too. Because I know I didn't.
Well, it does.
And it doesn't make you any less of, like, doesn't make you any less of a woman or man, like, naive or whatever, just because you missed the signs when it happened. You know, there's no reason to, you know, to look at yourself negatively because of that. Like, well, why? You know, why did I do that? You can just only grow from it and learn from it, not like wonder why you didn't know better.
That's beautiful. I'm glad that you said that, because I don't want to let anybody think that I'm saying that it's okay, or that they should feel shame or guilt around having the experience. And I just want to finish up with kind of just reading a little bit about this tiger here. The card we picked is so appropriate because we can empower ourselves and protect ourselves. And it says the tiger medicine indicates a vibrant physical strength, a vitality of health. If you've been lacking this, you are now guided to tune into cycles of rest, whilst shifting your mindset immediately to not reinforce the negative self-talk, but start to talk to yourself lovingly. Instead, begin to speak to yourself and others with a new vitality, a new radiance, a new power, using your mind as your ally. consciously, intentionally, and with an understanding of its powerful effect on your body. This is not about the mind dominating or ignoring the wisdom of the body. The body is intelligent, but it's about recognizing and applying the mind power to now nourish and to infuse your being through your positive psychology. The tiger medicine comes to you at a time when you are engaged in the world that is becoming more pronounced. You are influenced by its energy of upshifting. It's increasing the darkness and the light. Even while you may feel that you're being called into your spiritual path deeper, to go deeper into your soul, it's also time for you to feel beautiful and divinely guided to rest and restore yourself when things hurt you or you need to take a break. Tiger medicine evokes a sense of hunger for life and for life's experiences so that you can grow out of them. When you bring your spiritual light into all of your worldly adventures, you will become able to create an uplifting outcome of grace that the world would otherwise not have seen in you. Tiger reminds us to have courage, courage in the heart, courage in the face of any challenge, any threat, or any danger, and allow and align yourself with the truth of the divine as the deepest ally, our greatest advocate, and our wisest advisor, our own inner truth. From that secure inner spiritual foundation, we can leap with the fierceness of compassion, conquering any adversity in order to do what needs to be done in our own world. There we go.
That's so beautiful. I love it.
So I'm so grateful that I met you. I'm so grateful for having these conversations. I am still on my breatharian path, even though this weekend it was very intense for me. So I did eat all weekend. I needed soups. We had soups after every cathartic release emotionally. A lot of crying, a lot of breath work, and then we had nurturing soups, and then we like cradled and we got hugged and we just released and we gave permission to witness our own feelings and not judge ourselves. So today I'm back fasting again. I'm just doing liquids. I went on my 3-mile walk, and I wanted you to end this session with us, teaching us a little breath work so that we can breathe in and detoxify our mind and our heart and our bodies.
Okay. I just want to note, I'm like looking off screen here because there's been a ladybug with me for like 15 minutes, and now it's right above the computer screen, and I just think it's so great.
Ladybug is joy, and also abundance and prosperity. Maybe that's for your new business, your new breath coaching business.
So with breathwork, I was thinking just because it probably has been an intense weekend with the full moon and all of that, just some pranayamas I think would be nice. So basically you just go like this, one finger here, one here.
Okay.
So you breathe in. It's hard to talk and breathe at the same time. So you breathe in your left, hold, breathe out on your left, breathe in your left, and then breathe out on your right. Breathe in on your right, hold, breathe out on your left, breathe in on your left, and then so it's basically just, I don't like to speak and breathe at the same time really, so it's just to balance the energies, the yin and the yang. So that's good if you're feeling a little bit out of balance.
That's wonderful. Yes, yes. So the left is the lunar channel and the right is the solar channel. And by alternate nostril breathing, you will get an opening and an expansion in the third eye region, and you will flush out toxins because we have 4 eliminating organs, right? We have the skin, the kidneys, the colon, lungs.
Right.
The lungs are taking out the apana. The prana is coming in through the nostrils, and the apana is coming out, and it calms the mind, and it gives us more
And
space.
so for anyone that, you know, has gone down like the detox path, but I think it's like 70 or 80% of detoxification actually happens through breathing. And so when people go to the gym and they do cardio and stuff like that, it's really because they're breathing a lot and they're expelling toxins through breath work. And so, yeah. I mean, and it's free. You know, like I know for me, when I first started like my detox thing, there was a bit of discord and resistance within myself, because I'm like, wow, like I have to spend all this money to like buy supplements and herbs and organic foods and all of that in order to be healthy. Like that's so crazy. But when you realize that breathing and fasting are both free and they're like the best healing modalities, then there's like this sense of peace that you can heal for free and it doesn't cost money. Like you need to go out and spend a bunch of money to heal yourself. It's all right here.
That's beautiful. All right. Well, the next time we get together, we'll definitely do a deeper breath session. So those of you who just want to practice the pranayama, which is alternate nostril breathing, if you're ever stressed out or you need to actually get some more space or let go of a mind loop that's making you feel anxious or afraid, breath work is definitely a key component in feeling more relaxed. Angelina, thank you so much for being here and sharing your story and sharing your wisdom.
Thank you for doing this, and thank you for conducting this. I appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate you. So I'm going to maybe put some links at the bottom. You said that you had some breatharian links that we wanted to put if people are interested in going deeper with breath work. I'm going to put the Ask Athena intuitive readings stuff if people are interested in either taking a breatharian retreat. I am still doing them. Which is wonderful. And I'm also doing some life coaching around fitness, health, and wellness, because the foundation of consciousness and self-realization is really exercise and proper nutrition. We have to learn how to eat before we can take the food away. We have to learn how to feel our feelings before we can master our emotions. We have to know how to work the breath before we can allow the mind to become less busy, emptying out the thought forms, right?
Yes.
All right, so let's close in prayer. I prayed this morning, but I'm going to pray again. From the point of light within the mind of God, let light stream forth into the minds of men. Let light return to earth. From the point of love within the heart of God, let love stream forth into the hearts of men and women. May the Christ consciousness return to earth. In the center, where the will of God is known, let the center guide the little wills of men, the center which the masters know and serve, and may it seal the door where evil dwells. May the plan of love, light, and power restore heaven on earth. Archangel Michael, Gabriel, Uriel, Raphael, Father Sky, Mother Earth, from the point of light that connects us all, please be in the sacred circle of light. Allow us to be clear vessels for love, light, compassion, and healing. Blessings. Thank you so much. All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
If you enjoyed this, subscribe and stay tuned. Blessings.